Thank you for watching another episode of the Boat Geeks. If you are liking what you're finding here at our channel, please hit the thumbs up below.
And please like and subscribe so you don't miss a future episode.
Absolutely. And you can comment too. Feel free to comment.
Yeah, we love to hear what you think.
Thank you.
My career has really been in politics and policy and trying to move the politics to move the policy.
Wow.
I heard a great analogy earlier. Boating in the Pacific Northwest is like a duck gliding across the water. From the top, it looks so easy, just nice and smooth. And that's us, the recreational boaters. It's a beautiful place to boat. But under the water, the feet are pumping furiously. And that's what you guys are, you and Arba and all these organizations that are working on our behalf. And to me, it's extremely interesting. We've had George on, we had Bob from Arba, and I learned so much, and I'm joining these organizations, and I want to support these organizations because it is the foundation of boating up here in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah. So thank you for working so hard on our behalf.
Yeah.
From the Port of Bremerton and recorded at the Northwest Marina and Boatyard Conference, it's the Boat Geeks with Darren and Daeron.
We're the Boat Geeks, whatever floats your boat. We're the Boat Geeks.
Welcome to another episode of the Boat Geeks. I am your host, Darren.
And I'm your other host, Darren, and we are at the Marina and Boatyard Conference put on by the Northwest Marine Trade Association, the NMTA. And our special guest right now just so happens to be the Vice President and Director of Government Affairs for said NMTA, Mr. Jay Jennings.
All right.
Welcome, Jay.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. What a pleasure.
Very good to have you here.
Thank you.
And I want to say just right off the bat, the pleasure has been ours. Thank you for the invite here.
Yes.
We had a great time. We've talked to amazing individuals. We got some really good episodes recorded.
Excellent.
Learned a lot.
Learned a ton.
Wow.
Way more than I was expecting.
Yeah.
And just a great conference. Like, we really enjoyed it. We can't wait to be back next year.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you for being here. You added a tremendous value to it and also the entertainment. And we'd love to have you as an outlet, media outlet, to get our voices out there. There's a lot of boat geeks that I work with and throughout the Pacific Northwest. And your voice is important to that conversation.
Well, and what we like to do with the voice that we have is give a voice for the industry so that the recreational boater who watches and listens has an understanding of all the stuff that goes on in the background.
Yeah.
And every single person that came to this conference, whether they ran a boatyard or a marina or had some ancillary responsibilities around that field, all say the same thing. You are an important individual to the industry. And I think what would be really helpful is to give us a little brief description of what you do for the NMTA.
Summing it up, I would say I try to remove the roadblocks that impede their success. And there are, as you say, so many issues. When people ask me what I do and I say, I advocate for boating and do government affairs, what could possibly voters need government affairs for? But then you hear, this conference and you hear stormwater issues and, we're all concerned about the endangered species and the Army Corps permitting and NOAA permitting and marketing and a lot of the stormwater treatments. And that didn't touch on a lot of local issues. We deal with freight mobility in Seattle and trying to get that, straightened out. We've been, essential in getting more funds for derelict vessel removal from the watercraft excise tax. And I'd mentioned that there's a little bit of a story behind that too, as far as we are the only ones left with a watercraft excise tax.
Wow, really?
Or with an excise tax.
Yeah.
As Tim Hyman did away with the $30 car tabs. This is probably predating some of the audience, but he skipped the watercraft excise tax because we wouldn't help him repeal the rest of it.
Oh, brother. Great. Wow. Well, so government affairs, you're dealing with regulatory agencies, you're dealing with commissions, you're dealing... you're dealing with Olympia.
That's right.
So you spend a fair bit of time in Olympia?
I live in Olympia, and I came out from D.C. in 1990 to Olympia as, with a job, and we wanted to get out of D.C. and get to the Pacific Northwest. We'd heard about the beauty and the opportunity, but I came out sight unseen, and I haven't left since. And I worked for the legislature for many years, and then did some lobbying in the private sector, and worked for various government agencies. But my career has really been in politics and policy, and trying to move the politics to move the policy.
Wow.
I heard a great analogy earlier. Boating in the Pacific Northwest is like a duck gliding across the water. From the top, it looks so easy, just nice and smooth. And that's us, the recreational boaters. It's a beautiful place to boat, but under the water, the feet are pumping furiously. And that's what you guys are, you and Arba and all these organizations that are working on our behalf. And to me, it's extremely interesting. We've had George on, we had Bob from Arba, and I learned so much, and I'm joining these organizations, and I want to support these organizations because it is the foundation of boating up here in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah. So thank you for working so hard on our behalf.
Yeah. I mean, the issues that come up, and it just would come to mind, the electrical code. We're always, the electrical code's always being updated. And, part of it is to, we're not questioning the safety of it, but to convey that to our members so that they can be in compliance and protect their workforce.
Yeah.
And
what are some of the issues coming up that you might see on the horizon that you're going to need to be dealing with?
Well, certainly, the nearshore conservation calculator sounds like a big name to a lot of people, but it really is at this point, the way it's being implemented is a deterrent to environmental improvement for many of our facilities. They were established in the 40s and 50s, and they are requiring some repair and maintenance. And a lot of our those businesses are family owned, and they have set aside money to maintain and improve their facility, but they didn't set aside enough to anticipate really the cost of protecting salmon and southern resident killer whales, and the quality of Puget Sound. We see that as definitely a priority for all of us, but we're not sure we should bear it alone.
Yeah, no, it takes everybody. It takes a village, right? And
it's a societal problem.
To float a boat.
Yeah, it takes a village to float a boat, something like that.
This episode of The Boat Geeks is sponsored by The Boater's Guide, a free app for Pacific Northwest boaters. The Boater's Guide is adventure and information, right at your fingertips, right when you need it. Find your happy place with The Boater's Guide, a free download on your phone or tablet in the App Store and Google Play.
Well, that's important. And so if our viewers and our listeners out there are wanting to get informed and educated and maybe even participate in supporting these causes, where can they go? What's the best place to head for
Well, the best place ahead is NMTA.net, and that's the Northwest Marina Trade Association website. You'll find quite a bit of information there. We're always trying to keep it current. You can subscribe to Water Life, which I bet George had mentioned, our newsletter, and that's where we send out the latest and the greatest of. And then throughout the legislative session, I'll be sending updates as critical issues are decided or processed. And, you heard candidate up the Grove, the Commissioner of Public Lands yesterday. Something so, and it's one thing about my job is that there's something new all the time, right?
Sure.
And I didn't know, but DNR's leases in between when they go do the assessments are tied to an index. It's the producer price index. And our marine operator said, this thing goes up and down, and I can't plan, and I can't, budget. And can't we get a more stable index? I was like, sure, let's go for it. What is it? And then, as it turns out, our current DNR lead, Hillary France, and you heard Dave saying that he'd like to make that change. So small changes like that or big changes that we need with the nearshore calculator are all on the plate. And frankly, Westlake in Seattle, it's a corridor that we all rely on, and the SDOT is talking about really confining it mostly to buses. And that takes a lot of the commerce and delivery out of Westlake Drive or Boulevard. And, we understand there's transportation issues, but freight still needs to move, and we have a lot of working waterfront.
Yeah, I have to drive to Scan Marine next week and pick up my Wallace heater.
Good luck.
I want to be able to drive right there and get it. So you mentioned for viewers and listeners that want to keep up to date, they can subscribe to Water Life.
Yep.
And that is for anybody. You don't have to be a member of the
absolutely
NMTA to be kept apprised of all that you guys do. So
That's right.
NMTA.net and subscribe to the e-newsletter Water Life.
That's right.
Lots of great information.
So you're doing all this work for us boaters out here, and we super appreciate it, what the NMTA does. And I do get that newsletter, and man, there's a lot of information every time, so be sure to sign up for it. But you're working for all of us pleasure boaters out here, recreational boaters. Do you ever get out and have some fun on our waters?
Oh my gosh. Well, I talked briefly about my career in politics and policy, but really the first thing I did was sail a boat. And that was in Chautauqua Lake back in Western New York.
Nice.
Every Sunday we had races. And so I grew up sailing boats and motoring boats and water skiing. And I live right now on stilts, non-conforming property in Olympia.
Right on.
Right by the marina. And I have the dinghy right at basically off my porch. I have a canoe on the other side, a stand-up paddleboard.
You're a total boat geek.
You're a boat
You're one of us.
I'm a boat geek. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So what a job to call, I hope it's culminating my career.
Yeah.
I think this might be my last stop, but to do it with advocacy on the professional side and boats on the personal side, I couldn't be more happy.
It's like a perfect storm.
It really is.
I mean,
and talking to you guys, it's perfect.
We are really lucky
that
we have you.
Yes, we are.
For all of us.
Yeah, absolutely, Jay. Thank you so much again for the invite. I encourage everybody to check out what they're doing. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
Only that, if you're interested in NMTA, it's a great organization, and we hope you take a look and maybe consider joining.
Please do. It would be good for everybody up here, boaters and non-boaters, if you just enjoy our water and the beauty in the Pacific Northwest. Please check it out. Again, thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Boat Geeks.
And thank you, NMTA, and all of you out there. This has been another episode of the Boat Geeks. And until next time, whatever floats your boat.
We're the boat geeks, whatever floats your boat. We're the boat geeks, it's the boat that floats that we love the most. Yes, we love the boats. We're the boat geeks, whatever floats your boat. Walk on the water, float on the sea, crossing the oceans between you and me. The wind in our hair, the salt on the breeze, bringing us closer, life on the sea.